Hey, it's me, Mario, with my brother Luigi now to give you a heaping spaghetti pile of information. Hello, Mario. And today, I thought I'd take the time to see if I could beat Batman Arkham City with only Batarangs. The rules being pretty simple, only Batarangs, which includes remote-controlled Batarang and Sonic Batarang as well, which I don't think I ever used at all. However, Bolas's are the Catwoman equivalent, so those will count as her Batarangs, and for Robin, he has Shurikens. As for how me, the silly YouTube challenge guy, will go about this challenge, I've decided to change things up a little bit and rip a page straight out of K-Nerd's book when it comes to challenges, as it would be much more concise and digestible compared to how I usually go about things with Arkham-related challenges. Now, very few of you are probably asking, what's the lore reason for this challenge? Well, as you may or may not know, Bruce is rich, and real-life rich people love wasting their money. So Bruce decided to revoke Alfred's paycheck in order to funnel more Batarangs into his utility belt to serve justice by 1,000 cuts instead of broken bones. How generous of him! Speaking of justice by 1,000 cuts, combat is by far the easiest part of this challenge, believe it or not. Brucey Boy does not possess gadgets at the very first encounter, so no, you cannot beat the game with only Batarangs. You shouldn't be surprised. But once the Bruce is given a suit, he evolves into his bat form, unlocking the Batarangs he needs in order to defeat goons, being especially easy early on when Batarang spamming is at its most viable. Just a little time consuming compared to the average 1-2 knuckle to you combo, but with enough time, Bats gets the job done, and this doesn't just stop at normal thugs like you might suspect. Obviously, thugs wielding weapons are also just as simple to deal with, as Batman can simply just dodge over their swings and continue the assault with Batarangs when out of harm's way. However, all of this changes with the introduction of the Armored Thug. Now, many of you might see this and just go, yup, that's impossible. There's no way to deal with Armored Thugs with only Batarangs. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Multi-ground takedown. There is no encounter that's just an Armored Thug on its own, so you can use their friends in order to bring your combo up with Batarangs, and once it's peaked, dodge over top of said Armored Thug and hit them in the back with the Batarang, knocking them over, and voila! Multi-ground takedown defeats an Armored Thug with just Batarangs, leaving us with just a few more enemy types to take care of. The next on our list is the infamous Door Thug, always blocking our Batarangs, nor can we dodge over top of them like we could with the Armored Thug to hit them in the back. So I needed a new plan. So once all of the other thugs are defeated, Batman can just simply throw a remote-controlled Batarang to knock them down onto their knees. And before they pick their shield back up, use a flurry of rangs to defeat them. Like I said, basic combat is by far the easiest part of this challenge. However, this changes with the introduction of ninjas. Ninjas, as per usual, kinda suck for challenges in the way gadgets deal with them, especially Batarangs, as on their own, no damage can be done to ninjas purely from bat shurikens. Okay, so let me try launching them with a remote control Batarang, and somehow their reflexes are so insane that they can dodge a remote controlled Batarang, and even if you do end up landing the hit, they don't get launched and instead just shrug it off like nothing happened. So naturally, I get testing to see what does and does not work, and while testing, I learned the Batarangs do in fact deal damage. However, there is a caveat. You must have a combo of 2 or more in order for them to be effective, but just throwing Batarangs from a combo of 0 will never allow Batman to reach that combo of 2 or more. This seems like it would be the end of the road when it comes to combat sections that could be done. But this all changed with a simple revelation. It's kind of bending the rules, but sliding, see where I'm going with this? Sliding does not deal any damage as far as I know, and as far as anyone else knows. You cannot take out a thug with only sliding. But sliding gives Batman a combo of 2. So while I'm using more than just Batarangs, I'm still only dealing damage with just Batarangs. And with the combo of 2, Batman can now increase his combo with Batarangs, allowing him to eventually take out all 3 ninjas using multi-ground takedown, letting us continue to the Wonder City. And if you've seen my Without Being Seen playthrough of Arkham City, you'd know you can do the entirety of the Wonder City robots without having to deal with a singular ninja the whole time. Nice! So, with the ability to deal with every single thug type, including ninjas, with only Batarangs, that lets us move on to a much more challenging part of this challenge, that being Predator sections.
Hey, it's editing me, and I made a mistake and wanted to see if I could write the whole script from memory, so naturally I missed out on a few minor but important parts, one being this force counter in order to open the door. Great, I'll pop in a few more times. Also, I got a new mic, so that's cool. Alright, back to Predator sections.
However, they are also much simpler in explanation, as they're all almost the exact same, just banging Batman's head against metal pipes for way too long just to complete a single Predator section. These sucked, and I mean sucked. None of them were fun, none of them were easy, none of them spared Batman. There was only one singular Predator section that was somewhat enjoyable, and that was purely because I somehow glitched a thug out of bounds using nothing but Batarangs. So allow me to show you the clips now.
Wait, where did the other guy go? Where did he go? He was inside the plant. It became the plant. No, but like, he better not stop me from being able to complete this, because that's kind of baloney if it is. In the nether realm, that's where he went. Oh, brother. Oh, he's up there. Now, how did... He's on the roof. Come here. Holy crap.
I should probably turn that into a YouTube short or something. Could be interesting. Anyways, so now that I can prove that I can do both basic combat and Predator sections with only Batarangs, so that's the whole game and challenge done, right? Well, this is where things take a turn for the worst.
Yeah, I forgot to mention the force takedown on the two thugs during the Predator section. I tried using Batarangs, but there is literally no way to take them out. Like, come on, Batman, a Batarang would 100% work on knocking over the hostage taker, but no, he has to be the bigger man and stop me. Stupid.
Bosses. Unfortunately, Arkham bosses are very specific with how they want you to deal with them. I get it's not just Arkham that does this, but every single boss has to be dealt with a very specific manner. So let's go from least disappointing to most disappointing, why don't we? Coming in at least disappointing is Raish. But first, leading up to the fight, which contains a unique variant of the ninja, the sand equivalent conjured up by Raish himself. These two being immune to the power of the Batarang, but instead of sliding, I decided I don't need to even attack at all, dealing with them with only triple cape stun. A move that does not deal any damage, might I add, but it allows them to fall off the side of the crystal tower to their demise. Now for Raish himself. The ninjas work a tad bit differently once again, where you can, in fact, from a combo of 0, gain combo enough to deal with them with purely Batarangs. Fantastic! So with all of them being whittled down one by one, only Raish is left. However, due to previous challenge runs, I already knew what was coming. When Raish is the last one standing, there is 0 way to progress the fight other than through the knuckle sandwich combo. I've done this fight enough times to know, and enough challenges to know, as well as the big boy phase where you can only deal with him with Wreck Gun, not Batarangs. And everything I just said continues to be true with the second phase with much more sand ninjas, the only one not being able to be taken out once again is Raish, then one more big boy phase, and we must counter and punch to finish off the fight. But hey, at least there was a large chunk we could do with purely Batarangs. But up next for the next disappointment is... yeah, Titans. There's nothing that can be done, period, at all. That's it. So how are they not the most disappointing? Well, let me introduce you to Mr. Freeze. And yes, that was the whole Titan section because there's literally nothing that could be done. So for Freeze, there is technically one thing you can do in this fight with just Batarangs. However, it's not even enough to progress the fight. What I'm referring to is using a Batarang to hit the button on the wall to electrocute him. However, we still must punch him after to do damage, and there were many other rounds just before this where it was just punching and not Batarang. So this one was pretty disappointing, but there are still a few more disappointing parts. Grundy and Penguin are only more disappointing because it's two bosses in one. First, Grundy, where you can literally do nothing with just Batarangs. However, you can take out the bugs on the floor, but that has nothing to do with Grundy himself. And for Penguin, well, somehow Penguin has the reflexes of a ninja, where he can dodge even remote-controlled Batarangs. He is just as agile as the ninjas. Like, this man should be an American Ninja Warrior. I don't care how short he is, he'd do great. Now, in my opinion, for the most disappointing, that would be Mr. Hammer and Sickle fights, because you can actually deal damage to them with Batarangs. Their health will be reduced with just Batarangs, but defeating them can't be done with just Batarangs. So I chose to prove that I can in fact beat them without having to punch them once instead, but the fact that you can do 99% of the fight with just Batarangs but not finish them off is insanely disappointing to me. And this transitions us to the Joker fight, where after all of the regular henchmen are taken care of, there is still a Titan and Mr. Hammer that must be taken down. So once again, 99% of the fight can be done with just slices, but due to the 2's inclusions to this boss, it can't be done. But Joker himself can be taken out with Batarangs, so at least there is a cherry on top. But wait, there are still 2 more bosses left to be disappointed by, one being the one and only Clayface, who can only be defeated using Freeze Grenade, a completely different gadget. Come on, man. But with the phases with the sword, there was a joke in chat about the Bat Sword being a long-lost relative to the Batarang, mutated beyond recognition, but still a Batarang at heart. But jokes aside, there is not a single point in this gadget-heavy fight where the Batarang is useful. But there's still one noteworthy boss left, Harley Quinn. You can use gel, but of course not a Batarang. This game hates me. But wait, there's still more. Don't worry, I'll keep it short. Catwoman, too, has her Batarang equivalent, the Balaas, but it is not available during her very first encounter of the game. I swear this game, man. But after reaching her apartment, we cannot even get the Balaas without having to take out these thugs guarding her apartment. So it is 100% that we cannot do it, unfortunately. But once she does have her Balaas, the rest of the game is easy peasy, including the Poison Ivy fight, all the way up until it's sewer time, in which armored thugs. And she doesn't have multi-ground takedowns, so this and one other fight cannot be done due to her lack of proper skills, which is very annoying. But her Predator section actually wasn't too difficult. It wasn't easy, but it was definitely easier than Batman's for some reason. Like, super easy in comparison to every single one that Batman had to deal with. But inside the vault, another armored thug. Fantastic. In her final chapter, there are no armored thugs to deal with, so there is only Harv to fight. And I kid you not, this was actually the easiest the boss has ever been, for the first time ever, going down in just one attempt. Absolute insanity. Maybe we've been just fighting this boss wrong the whole time and making it more difficult than it needs to be. So no, neither Catwoman nor Batman can be completed with just Batarangs. But how about Robin? No, there's a Titan. But before the Titan, it also has 2 armored thugs, and like Catwoman, Robin is useless. But one of them can be easily launched to their death using a remote-controlled shuriken, still being a Batarang used to take him out. But once in the encounter with the second, there is not enough room to launch the thug high enough to be taken out with purely Batarangs, so no, Robin cannot be done either. There is the Harley Quinn Predator section, which, just like Harv's, was really easy, however not done on my first attempt. Hey, once again, forgot to mention a silly part of the Harley Quinn Predator section. I had to reset at the very end once because, well, a thug took a hostage, and if you remember from the tutorial Predator section, Batarangs can't be used on them for no reason. Like, it's enough to stun a thug, it would be a surprise, but the game doesn't make sense. But after that reset, I was able to take them all out without any of them taking any hostages. Then the one and only return of the Titan. Of course there had to be a Titan, and just like last time, nothing can be done. And finally, one last boss being the final Harley Quinn boss in her revenge, and Batarangs don't work. Oh wait, they do work. Okay, so they only work if you use the Ret Gun on a robot first, and while it does not deal damage in the way where they can be taken out with just the Ret Gun, without it they would not take any damage, period. So it has to be done, and once you do, you can then just use multi-ground takedown to finish them all off. So, can you beat Batman Arkham City with only Batarangs? No, not a single character can, which you should already know if you've watched all the way through this disappointing adventure. But if you enjoyed, why not like and subscribe? This challenge did take 7 hours and 22 minutes to complete after all, so it would be nice if you liked or left a comment. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed, have a good day, and a good night.